GASOCAST. I'm your host today, Michael Timmins, joined by Lyndon Cook. I think we'll call this one Season 2, Episode 1 of the GASOCAST. We've been away for a while, but, we've been rocking and rolling from state tournament, Tops in Texas events, Gaso First Look, Houston Gaso last week, and we just wrapped up our first Gaso Open live period. Just a lot of basketball we've been covering. Lyndon, kind of give me your thoughts on this past weekend, and if you want, just a rundown of our last kind of month.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a loaded month of basketball for the Gaso. Covering the state tournament, great games down there in San Antonio, with being sandwiched right in between our two Tops in Texas combines, and then rolled right into it with the first look in Duncanville, getting down to Houston, seeing those teams as a really good kind of springboard for those top-level teams to get ready and prepared and feel out that chemistry for the live period. And then obviously this past weekend, a huge turnout, 156 NBA division teams at the live period in Duncanville. And, one thing that we pride ourselves on is that if you're a hooper and you come out to the Great American Shootout, we're going to find you, we're going to get ink on you. And it really was a successful weekend for a lot of prospects building their names in front of college coaches in a live setting.
Yeah, that's what I always kind of say to some parents that ask me, how do I get my recruitment going? It's just like building a portfolio, slowly just generate buzz, whether that's through highlights on yourself. And doesn't necessarily, I tell them, it doesn't necessarily have to be a 2-minute highlight, just any type of buzz you can start to create. These coaches will start to find you.
For
and,
sure.
With the way that, transfer portals and the recruitment, everything's starting to change. Let's kind of hop into that little roundtable discussion.
Yeah.
What are you seeing? There's a lot of unsigned seniors on the board.
For sure.
That, we had 3 or 4 really good loaded teams at our live period event with unsigned seniors. But, just kind of like, let's talk about the space right now with recruiting. What do you think?
Yeah, right now in the day and age of the transfer portal, college coaches are focused on one thing, and it's what their team is going to look like when they trot them out next year.
Yeah.
They're not looking down the road. A lot of these guys have their tabs on 2023 guys. They're not going to ignore it, obviously. But at the same time, they're trying to address, okay, if I've got a kid in the portal, I don't know if he's coming back. April 30th is the cutoff. I need to figure out what is my plan for the 2022 class that are still on the board. How can I get the best player available that can suit up and hoop for me next year? And that's why we're seeing so many unsigned senior teams, these unsigned senior events. We're having one April 23rd during our live period. They'll give college coaches another opportunity to see these 22s in a live setting. And I really feel like, there are still plenty of scholarships out there to be had by kids still seniors in high school. Even this late in the game, these kids are going to be able to earn themselves some scholarships over the next couple of live period weekends.
Right. And I think the advice I would still give, because obviously it's frustrating for a lot of these parents and players that we know are next level players. It's just, continue to play hard, continue to put that chip on your shoulder. Coaches want to see you get down, dive for loose balls, be a great teammate. Obviously, if you're being recruited, they know what your skill set is.
Right.
So if I'm a knocked out shooter and I go 2 for 10 in a game, well, those coaches know that they've seen me hit shots before. So what can I do during that game to let them know, hey, he didn't shoot well, but he did this, this, and this.
Exactly.
And it's just trusting the process. And I'll give this advice. If you have offers out there, from schools that want you, especially unsigned 2022s, better take them.
Yeah.
I've seen some tweets where, hey, an unsigned 22 says, hey, I just received my 6th offer. Well, that's not the game right now.
No,
this isn't
not.
sweet. If you got somebody that's willing to pull the trigger on you, you need to pull the trigger back.
Yeah.
So it's just, 23s, go out there and keep doing your thing. And it's like I said, it's all about building your profile and portfolio and just continue to generate buzz, whether small or big.
For sure.
And that's what I love what we do with the social media team. Lyndon did a great job this past weekend. It's just getting eyes and showing love to as many kids as possible that we have identified as next level players. That helps spark, just getting coaches to kind of like sniff around and be like, oh, yeah, I saw this kid's name.
Exactly.
Who's on court 3 this next hour? Oh, yeah, let me go take a look.
For sure.
Just small things. So 23s, 22s, just everybody in general just needs to understand what this space is starting to look like. And all you can control is going out there and play in the right events as well.
Exactly. That's a big part of it.
Yeah. So let's hop into our Gaso Live. Like you said, how many? 156 NBA teams?
156 NBA teams. And, basically the way we broke it down, we had pools of 5. There were no overall tournament champions in the NBA division, but we did have a couple of teams that ran the table, and we wanted to spotlight them real quick. Starting out with the Houston Superstars, who went 4-0. They had some tight games. They had to come back. and win after trailing in a lot of these games, but they got it done 4 times and went 4-0 on the weekend with Jared Harris, the 24 out of Silsbee. We saw him at the state tournament where he was really good, and guess what? He's still really good on the AAU circuit. Yeah. And then they have Jackson Fields in there, who's a nice piece as well.
Yeah, big time. One of the, like we talked about, we had a lot of stud unsigned seniors, and Jackson Fields fit that mold. GPS West Texas comes in here, with one of the bigger chips on their shoulders, being from West Texas.
Sure.
They want this. I mean, the Gaso is a big deal for them. A lot of college coaches get to watch them, and their players showed up. It's not like, hey, look at me. It's, hey, we're going to prove it and earn it every single time. Yeah. And that led by Kieran Elliott and Tracy Godfrey.
Yeah, Kieran is one of those kids who just gets a little bit bigger and a little bit better every time you see him. He can stretch the floor. He's physical inside. He's a tough customer around the rim.
Yep.
And then Tracy Godfrey, when you got 6'6", 6'7", Kieran Elliott, and you could put 6'7" Tracy Godfrey, another 2022 kid, on the other block as him, you're going to have a tough time stopping that tandem right there. And Tracy was a really good presence for them on the inside this weekend.
Absolutely. That Dallas Mustangs 17U team, I know one of our social media guys, Jackson, came up to me and said, hey, that Connor Newton, I knew he could shoot a lot from Denton Geyer, but, he makes some incredible passes.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's exactly the Connor Newton I saw throwing it to Kyron Lindsay down the court all season long. So he was a big piece for them. Talk about the rest of the Dallas Mustangs.
Yeah, I mean, it makes Connor's job a lot easier when you got guys like Joseph Mayberry and Ismail Smith to be able to throw it into, because those two dudes around the rim were electric. Mayberry's one of those kids that can catch it at the high post, rip towards the rim, and get downhill to finish. And Smith kind of mixes it up a little bit more, but he's 6'6", he's well built, and he's got a little bit of guard skills. With those two, and then Connor Newton just running a pick and roll clinic out there, whipping passes left and right, no looks, all that stuff. Another 4-0 team that had a really impressive weekend.
Yeah, and tell me, 4-0 team, Oklahoma Impact. Tell me what you liked about them. There was one name that kind of stood out to you.
Yeah, Jordan England, great size, great shift in the open court. He can knock it down from outside, but he also can hit the Euro package and finish. 4-0 on the weekend, had some tight games, but ultimately came out undefeated. It's always nice to see these out-of-state teams come in and test their mettle against some of the top-tier teams in the state of Texas and say, you know what, even though they're not from Texas, they're still hooping at a high level.
Yeah, moving on, Beast Up 17s, they just continue to get it done. Chooks Ejiofor, Zuby's little brother, I mean, runs the floor,
Rim protector.
Absolutely.
He may not have Zuby's stature, but he still plays with the same kind of energy and burst to him. And then you talk about a guy from McKinney Boyd, DeMondre McKnight, who can really score it. It's not often you see a 6'1" guard kind of crab dribble his way into the post and hit the fadeaway, but he's able to do that against these guards because of how tough and physical he is with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, and then Pharaoh Amadi from Richardson,
Exactly.
That DNA, you pick up that DNA in practice and games every single day with Case and Wallace and Rylan Griffin.
Sure.
You can see just his impact on that team as well. And then we'll finish up with Dallas Showtime Black Elite.
Yeah, and out of Ennis High School, Grant Gilmore was one of the huge performers from this past weekend. He's one of those that can do it all, not just on the basketball court. He's also a high-level baseball recruit. But this kid, he can score on the block, he can score in the mid-range, he can score from three. He puts it on the deck, and he's tough on the inside, and he defends all 94 feet. He's a prospect that college coaches will definitely have an eye out for next time around in the live period of minutes.
So yeah, I mean, teams went out there, made an impression early on. We're excited to see, who brings their game in the second live period in a couple weeks. Let's move to another segment. Some standouts and some storylines, not necessarily player specific. Maybe it can be like, I'm going to start off with a game right off the bat. We had some big time 15U 2025s in the building.
No doubt.
Southern Assault and San Antonio Future. Talent all over. We have a YouTube game recap out there, but it just shows how loaded our 2025s are.
It really is. Caden
Bug Edwards, Hudson Greer, Kingston Fleming are just a couple of names to start. You watched that game with me. What was your takeaway?
Just that this 2025 class has a chance to be that next special class based off of these two teams. Kingston Flemings, if you haven't heard the name, you need to get familiar with him. He, was the star player for Brennan, taking them to the regional finals in the season, and then now he is taking up a huge role for SA Future. to be able to really elevate that team out of San Antonio to one of those kind of shoe level type teams.
Yeah.
And he's got good pieces around him. But those two, Caden and Hudson out of Southern Assault, those two, that's quite the combo for any team to have, much less a 15U.
And if you're just looking at, the way the game was, you have guards that can run the show from the lead guard position. You had long, athletic, freaky wings. You had bigs with size already, Some players are a little more skilled now, but you still see that freakish length out there that you're like, oh, you have plenty of time to develop into that body. And, you could just tell that game was high level, and those are going to be two teams and full of players that are going to just really be in the mix when it's time for rankings and it's time for,
Most
the national scale in a couple years when they get a little bit older.
Yeah. Another Oklahoma team that stood out to me was Rogue out of the Oklahoma City, Edmond kind of area. Carter Helmstead, really tough prospect. Just one of those straight line drivers who has the frame to absorb contact and just steam right his way to the rim. And then when you put that with the guard skills of an Evan Barber out of Westmore, this guy was able to light it up. He had 24, 26 points in the game I watched on Saturday, and he was just one of those guys who just lit it up from the outside and really gave them a nice inside-out game where teams didn't know how to defend it really well.
Yeah. Another standout matchup was Jaden Clemens from Pro Skills Lee versus Santiago Ochoa from HD Toros. Two, prototypical just lead point guards that know how to get their guys involved, crafty, great pace. That matchup came down to our overtime hero ending, 5 points in overtime to win. Jaden Clemens hits the big-time shot.
Yep.
Santiago Ochoa had 22 points with some outrageous finishes. It's just really high-level basketball. So, coaches, if you're looking for a 2023 that can lead your squad,
both
of these guys have that it factor for sure.
Yep. And I'll wrap up the segment by talking about some guys from R&J Elite. Another team that performed very well. Mark Ruka has been a name for a while around the Gaso circuit, but he's kind of coming into his own, feeling a lot more comfortable at the AAU type of game, and was able to score it in bunches this weekend. A really good shooter, shifty on the drive, does a whole lot of things well, checks a lot of the intangible boxes. And then, you got Caden Punt on the inside, a 6'7" forward. Shoot it, handles pressure, sees the floor, makes that inside out, that high-low pass to his teammates in there. Those two guys were really good this weekend, and I'm excited to see them again next weekend.
Yep, they're coming
back. At the 2024 live period, where they'll be back and they'll be in our top bracket.
Okay, so now we're going to move to another segment we've done before, New Kids on the Block. And this is someone you saw for the first time at live period. So some of these names aren't necessarily new to us. We've seen them, but I'll start off because I wasn't at any of Silsby's games at the state tournament. So Jared Harris, I was excited to see him for the first time. The first thing that stood out to me, his length, his arms for days, good sized prospect. Right away I walked over there, jumps the passing lane, gets a dunk, hit the three. Just as a nightmare defensively, can guard multiple positions, finishes above the rim, just everything you want with good size in that lead guard spot. And you were at the Silsby game, he was able to do some big time things in that game, right?
Exactly, and he was doing it against Faith Family, where all those kids are for the most part seniors.
Yeah,
and he's a sophomore. He's got a high ceiling on his game.
2024, sure. I'm excited for him. He's turned into one of my favorites very quickly in the state.
I'll take one out of Allen, who plays for YB33 National Red, and that is Oren Stewart. Saw him Friday night, and he just popped his game. He plays with a ton of pace. He just gets from one end of the court to the other so quickly. He navigates defenses. He handles the ball. He's not fazed by pressure or anything like that. And he puts the biscuit in the basket, and that's what it comes down to with a lot of these. Yeah.
Say it again.
The biscuit in the basket.
Yeah, baby.
What can I say? He's just one of those kids who has a knack for scoring the ball around the rim. And he finished with 24 that game and left a favorable impression with me for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, for me, Pro Skills Austin's Henry Sanchez. I was filming one court, just bounced around, and I saw him on the next court I was going to. From how far away it was, it just looked like a blur. Super fast with the ball. Shoots it really well. Gets the mid-range, hits that. just one of, and I'm highlight guys, so he's fun. He's fun to, very crafty.
Exactly.
He's fun to cover, and I thought he really helped himself this weekend, showing that what he can do.
Yeah. I'll wrap it up here. Another Austin area kid, Jackson Vandergaard out of ATX Force. He's a 2024. When you're some of these guys that are new to the Gaso scene, the easiest way to get noticed by me or our social media team or our highlights team is to figure out how to put up a monster number. And he did that by putting up 28. Shoots the lights out from outside. Very efficient with his movement, spaces the floor. He's got a nice, compact, quick release. And then, he's not afraid to attack inside. I think he had 10 free throws in the game where you don't do that if you're not just a naturally gifted shooter. So one of those, he's got good size, and keeping an eye on him. If he grows a couple more inches, we could be talking about a high-level prospect here.
No, big time for sure. And then another segment I always like, we can't be everywhere at once. So this Gaso Gossip segment I'll kind of take on. We had EYBL was in Orlando. Adidas was in, I think, Indy.
Indy, yep.
So just a couple things I want to start off with was Zayden High picking up huge offers, and rightfully so. He loaded the box score, 20-point games, big-time rebounds, showing that his energy levels at the highest of levels. He's gotten Texas and Michigan are two of his bigger offers.
Wake Forest. When he's picking up power five left and right.
You see it every year. There's a prospect that just goes off from the state of Texas, and rightfully so. He's all over the place, and I think he's going to keep it moving, and he will definitely be a player to make a big jump into our next rankings.
Definitely.
Another name I want to mention, looking at, like I said, box scores straight up, because I'm not there, so I'm not speaking as I'm not speaking as anything then.
Right.
But Tim Jordan from Drive Nation, his ability to rebound at the highest level with EYBL, playing against some monsters out there, shows me that, he can do it at a high level as well, a little undersized, but, knows how to use his body and his frame to get things done. And, you got to have somebody like that on these shoe circuits that can rebound and do the dirty things.
Absolutely have to.
Josh Jones, Jalen Crocker-Johnson, and Carson Templin, looking at them with pro skills, all of them had their productive moments, all scored double digits in games. All three of them, I think, had close to 10 rebounds in a game.
Yeah.
So just, knowing how to play and, once again, most undersized for the most part, but uses their body well. Houston Hoops, I saw they went 3-1 after,
after moving day,
Yeah, moving day, some adversity hit them, but Jace Posey, I think, almost at a 30-point game.
Yeah.
Knocking down shots, and he started knocking down some shots when we saw him at our Houston Gaso.
He was very good Saturday at the Houston Gaso.
So if you pair being able to knock down shots and the freak athleticism, that's a high major prospect. And then JL3, Fred Payne out there doing his thing, just got a St. Louis offer. You have Wesley Yates knocking down shots.
Yep.
Smurf Millender out there, that's a fun team that can run and gun.
It really is. I'm excited to see more of them this summer.
Then looking at the 3SSB in Indy, Jacoby Walter, no surprise here.
No surprise at all.
Leads the whole Adidas in scoring. Southern goes 3-1. I really like what Southern has with Isaiah Manning, Gabe Warden, and Nazar Mahmoud.
They are deep and loaded.
Yeah, those are three big time wings. And then Garrick Norman was at the NY2LA, and Courtside Films was there. So anytime Courtside Films just says you deserve a highlight, you must have been getting to it.
Right.
Obviously, the first clip on there is always going to be the law play that they run so well.
Always.
Yeah. So I just want to show some love from outside the Gaso, some guys that really stood out in that first live session. So let's talk a little bit about what's coming up next for us.
Yeah, the 22 through 24th live period Gaso got some exciting features to it. This past live period, we just went with the pool system.
Yeah.
But now we're breaking everything into brackets. We got 16 team brackets, and the kicker here is the interesting part is everybody knows if you're playing at a Great American Shootout, any other major tournament in the Dallas area, everything kind of funnels through Duncanville Fieldhouse.
Right.
So, to make things interesting, basically with every bracket, if you win your first two games and get to the semifinals, you're guaranteed to have the next two games at Duncanville Fieldhouse, where the college coaches kind of congregate, where everybody is, where the action is happening at all times. You're going to be right in amongst it. Basically, you have to win your way there. But once you get there, that's when it's time to really take off with your exposure.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for another week. Like I said, we continue to do our best to, I mean, the word exposure means something different to different people. You know, with us, you know, we're just not taking credit for kids, but we're just giving them the opportunity, like I said, to help build their portfolio, generate some buzz. Because college coaches all recruit different, but if we can start to plant these seeds, aka names, in these coaches' heads, just to like kind of browse around, I mean, that's all we can do. And I think, you know, we do a good job, and we are excited to continue to do that at April 22 to 24.
For sure. It's all about providing a platform. Nothing that we say or do is going to make a college coach offer a kid. But having a name out there that's in his head and he goes inside, oh, I'm going to go to this gym and see this player, and he goes off. That's how that happens.
Yeah. No, so, I mean, it's me and Lyndon down right here, right now. You got Blue, Sam, and Mass in the other room, working on schedules, working on more content, different things like that. As here at the Gas, we're just trying to get better and grow with the times. And like I said, season 2, episode 1 of the GASOCAST. We thank everybody that's kind of been rocking with us, and we're going to start to get on these weekly again. So stay tuned.
Make sure you follow us on social media. He's iFilmHoopers. I'm Gaso.
Yeah,
Lyndon.
boy.
And then make sure the main account, Texas Hoops Gaso, got to give that a follow. Thanks for tuning in.
All right.